Hey everyone, it's Heather Nichols, and today I'm going to share how to create these cute shaker gumball machines that are perfect for cards and even tags for Valentine's Day and more. The cute shakers are created with the Gumball Machine Die collection, but you can also use these to create a gumball machine that doesn't have a shaker element as well. I'm using the Mini Strips I'd Choose You stamp along with the Mini Strips Asymmetrical die. I'm creating backgrounds for my cards with the Hearts Rotating Stencil, and I'll be using the A2 Layers Stacklets die collection. For ink colors, I'm using Tropical Punch, Spearmint, Pineapple, and Guava. I'll be using my blender brushes. I'll be doing some embossing, and so I have my VersaMark ink, white embossing powder, and my powder tool. I'm using foam sticky strips, and then I also have shaker filling, bits and pieces full of heart, and bits and pieces sparkly circles. I'm using pixie spray. I have my crocodile tool for punching holes for my tags. For my tags, I'm also using silver eyelets, and I have eyelet setting tools. Finally, for my tags, I'm using burlap twine. Let's start things off by cutting out the pieces we need to create the gumball shaker. I'm cutting out the base, the lid, and the little detail piece from Guava cardstock. With a larger circle die, I'm cutting sugar cube cardstock and also window acetate. It's hard to see the window acetate, I just layered it right on top of the white cardstock to cut it. Next, I'm creating the frame for the shaker by nestling the two circle dies together. I'll arrange them till they look even all the way around, add a piece of tape to hold them together, and then send that through my die cut machine. And finally, I'm cutting the detail piece again from mushroom cardstock because I want the chute on the gumball machine to be gray. Now that I've got all of the pieces cut out, let's put this gumball machine together. I'm starting with the base of the gumball machine, and I'm adding the little chute that I cut out of the mushroom cardstock and also the two half circles that are cut out of Guava cardstock to create the coin mechanism above the chute. There are impressions on the gumball machine base so you know exactly where to adhere the pieces. Next is the shaker element, and that's the globe part of the gumball machine. The first thing I'm going to do is attach the window acetate to the back side of the circle frame. Then I added a sticky strip around the back side of the circle frame, so just tuck it behind there so it doesn't show. If you peel the paper backing off of the sticky strip, it will follow the curve really well. When you have to add an additional sticky strip piece to close up your circle, make sure the ends are butted up next to each other really close so that any of the shaker filling will not escape out of your shaker. For shaker filling, I cut out the hearts and the circles that are a part of the Gumball Machine die collection. I cut them out from Cherry Pop, Guava, Pink Champagne, Spearmint, Tropical Punch, and Pineapple cardstock. I'm going to use the hearts in the shaker for this gumball machine. I'm adding 2 or 3 of each color heart in the center of the sugar cube circle. For the shakers that I used the circle pieces with, I added bits and pieces sparkly circles as extra filling, and then with the heart shaker, I used bits and pieces full of heart as an extra filler. Make sure all of your shaker fillings are towards the center of the circle, and then add your frame piece over the top. Adhere the base to the bottom part of the circle and add the lid to the top part of the circle, and that completes putting together your gumball machine shaker. And of course, I couldn't just make one. I created gumball shakers in a whole rainbow of colors. Now let me share how I created the cards and tags with my gumball machine shakers. For the background of the cards, I'm using the Hearts Rotating Stencil. This stencil creates a multicolored design by just rotating the stencil with each color. You're going to rotate it 90 degrees each time you change color. The ink colors that I used for my background are Pineapple, Guava, Spearmint, and Tropical Punch. I used pixie spray to hold the stencil in place, and I also cleaned the stencil between each color. I cut out the backgrounds as well as a piece of vellum using the A2 Layer Stacklets dies. I cut out enough backgrounds and vellum to create 4 cards. For sentiments on my cards and tags, I'm using the new Mini Strips I'd Choose You stamp. I'm stamping this with VersaMark ink on toffee cardstock and embossing the sentiments in white. I cut out the embossed sentiment strips using the Mini Strips Asymmetrical die. Now it's time to put the cards together. For each card, I used a toffee card base, and I'm adding the background that I created with the rotating heart stencil to each of the card bases. For the gumball machines, I added adhesive to the back of the gumball globe, and then I added sticky strips to the gumball base for extra support. I attached the gumball machine to the vellum first, and then I added adhesive behind the gumball machine on the back of the vellum. This hides the adhesive on the vellum so you can attach it to the card. card. I repeated these steps to attach the Gumball machines to my remaining 3 cards. I chose sentiment strips to add to each of the Gumball machines, and then at the base of each Gumball machine, I added extra gumballs or hearts to each card. Now to complete the Gumball machine tags, I also added sentiment strips to each Gumball machine. Then I used my crocodile tool to punch a hole in the cap of each Gumball machine. I set an eyelet with my eyelet setting tools on the top of each tag. And finally, I added a length of burlap twine to each one. My Gumball Shaker cards and tags are done, and they're so much fun. I love how they turned out. I hope you enjoyed learning how I created them, and I hope you learned something new too. You can find the supplies that I used to create my projects in the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you next time.